Today's episode is brought to you by Proud Wolves. It is Proud Wolves' mission to make sure children all over the world have free access to cultural activities and sport. Proud Wolves helps organizations to change their income models and stops them relying on membership fees for children. Find Proud Wolves on Facebook for more information. Now, get ready for your All-NBA Team of the Week. Goeiedag, enchanté, and welcome to this week's episode of All-NBA Team of the Week. Today we take a closer look at the best players on the 5 teams at the bottom of the league. Except for the Grizzlies and the Wizards, most teams have completed 18 games or a quarter of this short season. At the top of the league, there are not many surprises so far, but that's different at the bottom of the league. The Wizards were expected to fight for a playoff spot like last season, but sit at the bottom of the ladder. Just above them sit the Wolves and the Pistons, but that shouldn't be a shock to anyone. The biggest upset of the season so far are the other 2 teams, the Raptors and the Heat. Coming off last season's NBA Finals, the Heat have been plagued with injuries. Their star player Jimmy Butler has only been able to play 7 games so far this season, but the Raptors, they have just been bad. My first pick this week is Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards. Beal needs no introduction. He's by far the best player on a bad team and has been so for a few years now. This season, he's leading the league in points, averaging more than 34 points a game. He already had a 60-point game, 2 40-point games, and another game that he finished with 39 points. What makes these stats even more impressive is that Beal has to do it on his own. Westbrook averages almost 10 assists per game, but he's only played 10 games. There's a big drop-off after that in assists from Beal's teammates. He has to create his own shot, over and over again. But Beal is a professional and he refuses to speak ill of his teammates and his franchise. He did express his frustration after the loss against the Pelicans when he said, "Is the sky blue?" When asked if he was getting frustrated, he made 47 points in that loss, making it now 10 straight losses in which Beal scores 40 or more points. Beal needs help, that is clear. Unfortunately, the guy lined up to be the help this season is now putting up impressive performances in Houston. John Wall was traded before the season for Russell Westbrook because the Wizards front office saw Wall as a problem. Trading for Westbrook didn't seem like a gamble. In fact, I thought it was a great move from Washington to improve on last season, but Westbrook is not his usual self. Whatever happened to him last year during the bubble, COVID and injuries, has really taken a toll on him. The other players on the team are disappointing as well. Bertans was given a huge contract during free agency, but he's not shooting nearly as well as he did in the past. Second-year player Rui Hachimura hasn't made a leap yet, still playing on the same level as last year. And rookie Advia is doing okay, but he's not strong enough to change the course of a game. On top of that, big man Thomas Bryant got injured, making it even harder for the Wizards to win any games. And finally, contract tracing has made it really hard for them to even just get a practice in between games. Even though they weren't expecting this at the start of the season, the Wizards might be looking at trading Bradley Beal really soon. If this situation doesn't improve quickly, Beal's patience will run out. My second pick for this week's team is Karl-Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. This pick is a bit more difficult to defend because Cat only played 4 games so far this season, and none of them were this week. But is anybody else on the Wolves roster playing well enough to be picked for a team of the week? D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley lead the team in stats, but haven't really impressed anyone yet this season. In the 4 games Cat played this season, he ended each time with a double-double and tries to push his team to get those wins. It's not a coincidence that the Wolves won 2 of the 4 games that Cat played, half of their total wins for the season. To say that Cat has had a rough 12 months is more than an understatement. He has lost his mother and 6 other family members to COVID-19, and on January 19th, he tested positive for COVID himself. He hasn't played since, and it is unclear when he will return again. There doesn't seem to be anyone else in the team that can stand up and lead his team away from the bottom of the Western Conference. Last season, they won the draft lottery and picked up Anthony Edwards with the number 1 pick, but even he is not playing at the same level as the other rookies around the league. And the worst is yet to come for the Wolves, because it looks very real they'll end up as the worst team in the league this year, but the chances are high that they won't even end up with a draft pick. They traded their draft pick in the Wiggins-Russell trade with the Warriors last season. It is top 3 protected, but the chances are that the bottom team doesn't end up in the top 3. As bad as it looks this season, I'm afraid it could get a lot worse next year, unless Cat returns as the monster he can be and will his team to win some games. Before we move on, I'd like to talk to you about A24. A24 was created by proud wolves with the intention to provide children with an opportunity to learn and play basketball at their own pace and completely free. A24 created different courses to improve your basketball skills that are available on the website, but our real mission is to help disadvantaged children by building and upgrading basketball courts around the world, and to give them basketball gear to play with. Come and find our website, and please buy a t-shirt to support our cause. Now back to All-NBA Team of the Week. The third pick this week is Jerami Grant of the Detroit Pistons. He surprised pretty much everyone during free agency last year when he signed for the Pistons instead of re-signing with the Nuggets. Most people were worried he's not capable of being the number one on any team, but he's proving everybody wrong, being the only bright spark in the Pistons' engine. His stats are way up from his career averages. Now he's unleashed and he's backing it up by playing efficiently. His biggest problem is the same as Cat, where he doesn't have the teammates to help him win any games. Biggest name on the team, Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose, are really struggling to keep their health up. Both players relied on their athleticism during their career to beat opponents, and their bodies have caught up with them. I don't want to say they're washed up because they still have their place in the league, but they need to be able to play in more supportive roles on a winning roster. Other than those two, the Pistons are counting on Delon Wright, who came over from the Mavericks, and Wayne Ellington, who struggled to come off the bench for the Knicks last season. The Pistons are doomed to sit at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. They're the only team so far that everyone has written off to fight for the play-in game. Hopefully they can surround Grant with some more talent next year, or he might start to regret his decision to become the number one on a bad team. Fourth pick this week is OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors. I could have gone with one of their three major players like Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam or Fred VanVleet, but because of their horrendous record so far, I have decided to go with the rising star. It has been hard to find the good moments in the Raptors games this season. They only have 7 wins out of 19 games, making them the 4th worst team in the league. Every time it looks like they finally turn it around, they lose again. Back to OG Anunoby. He's averaging almost 15 points a game, nearly double of his young career average. He's really taken a leap this season, and he's showing the Raptors front office that he's the future of the franchise. Knowing that Masai Ujiri is not scared of trading franchise players, Siakam and Lowry could be playing elsewhere by the end of this season. OG is currently out with a calf strain, but he's expected to return in either one of the upcoming games against the Magic. He's looking to boost his stats and claim the throne as Prince of the North. If he can, and Siakam and Lowry and VanVleet find their normal form, the Raptors will still make it to the playoffs. And if they do, you never know where they can end up. The final pick this week is Bam Adebayo from the Miami Heat. The Heat were the biggest surprise in the bubble last season, and I'm sure everyone, except for Laker fans, wanted them to take it all the way. But a long, strange season, an incredible run to the finals, took most out of the Heat. Now, 3 months later, they're still struggling to get their guys ready to play. Jimmy Butler only managed to play 7 games so far this season, most of them at the start of the season, when they were running at a 50% winning percentage. Once he was out, the Heat started to lose most of their games. The revelation of last season, for me personally, was Bam Adebayo, and he's confirming his abilities this year. In Butler's absence, he has stepped up and led his team as best as he can. He's averaging 20 points, just under 10 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game. His field goal percentage is nearly 60%, and he has managed 2 double-doubles in his last 2 games. He is proving that he'll be a real problem for Giannis and Embiid in the near future, and the previous finals run will definitely not be his last one. Together with Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, the Heat have a strong core for the future when Jimmy decides that it is time for him to move on. The Heat currently sit in 5th from the bottom of the ladder, but absolutely nobody is expecting them to stay there. They will find their rhythm later this season and work their way into the playoffs, whether it's through the play-in game or a top 6 finish. The Heat are never finished, and they will keep working until they get what they want. This is our All-NBA Team of the Week. Please share our podcast and give us 5 stars. If you have any questions, you can contact the show on a24office@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Ballers out.